seeing you in Scary Movie doing Squiggy again. I was surprised to see you doing that because I didn't know how you handled Squiggy. A lot of people who have characters that have followed them their whole lives, some don't mind and they continue to be that, and some really get very upset. Obviously, you feel okay about.
Yeah, I think the first 5 years after Laverne and Shirley, I mean, I wouldn't, if I was like, I did a lot of cartoon work, and if they said, well, could you do the Squiggy voice? I'd go, well, it'll cost you, because he costs more than I do. And I think in a lot of ways, I would cut myself off. I go, this really would be a good part to do as Squiggy, but I won't do it because I want to show that I do other things. With Scary Movie, if I don't play it, no one else is going to play Squiggy. It's a character that I created with Michael McKean. He created Lenny. I created Squiggy. We did it in college. We own them.
So you're comfortable with the fact that this is the character that will follow you right to the very end?
Yeah, I mean, it still sometimes amazes me, all the characters I did before that these would be the ones that would catch on. I don't mind. I mean, they're funny. People love them. One thing about, having MS and now going out in the patient programs, I wonder if I hadn't played Squiggy, whether I'd be an ambassador to the MS Society. Face it, that was what I became famous for. And that's what leads into it. Usually before I do one of the programs I do, Squiggy doing a public service announcement for MS, in which he blames it on Lenny. Because
okay, well, I was going to ask, how would Squiggy react to having MS?
I mean, I know it's not my fault. And the only way I could have caught it would have been probably from my best friend, Leonard Kosnowski, because I believe that he does not have the disease, but he is nonetheless a carrier. Now, of course, then the MS Society was quick to point out to me, there's no such thing as a carrier. You can't catch the disease and all those things. Yeah. And I said, oh, it's Squiggy.
Come on.
For crying out loud.
Nobody
a fictitious character accusing his fictitious friend of giving it to him.
Well, what's the key to slipping into Squiggy then? Is it the voice or the spit curl? Obviously, you slipped in without the spit curl.
Yeah, I mean, it's a character that's such a second skin. You know it so well. You've done it so long and done it for years before. I mean, Michael and I used to say it was 9 years in rehearsal because we were doing it 9 years before there was a Laverne and Shirley. We were basically hired to write ourselves into the very first episode with the thought that we'd probably never be past the first episode.
And they didn't want you to call him Squiggy at first on Laverne and Shirley.
No, Gary Marshall. Well, originally it was Lenny and Anthony.
Right.
Anthony had, in the folklore of these two characters that we never did for anyone, Anthony had a cousin named Squiggy, who was basically the enforcer. And then Gary Marshall said, we've got too many Italians on the show, so don't call them Lenny and Anthony. How about Lenny and Marvin? And I said, no. We wanted to be true to the 8 people who knew about these characters, who we went to college with. Well, they knew about Squiggy because that was Anthony's cousin, so instead of Anthony being Italian, why don't we make Anthony, we're in Milwaukee, there are no Germans in the show, he would be German. So, and if we can't call him Anthony, let's call him Squiggy.
And what is the difference between a schlemiel and a schlemazel anyway?
Well, there really is a difference. I don't know. The little thing that the girls did, that was something that I think Penny picked up from her neighborhood in the Bronx. I don't think they say that in Milwaukee. But a schlemiel, from what I was taught in my early days as a Jew, a schlemiel is a guy who's holding a hot bowl of soup, and while going to the table, he drops the soup. A schlemazel is the guy he dropped it on.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.